Um, it's always dangerous to have the last session of the day because people are tired. I'm tired from learning so much stuff today, but also because I see things throughout the day, and every time I hear something new, I'm like, oh, I need to add that into my session. So who knows what I'm going to say here now. By the way, if anyone has questions, feel free to jump in during my talk. Just wave your hand. I don't mind if something I say spurs something in your brain, if you interrupt me, and we can get a dialogue going on that. Uh, this session this afternoon is sort of talking about the future of games and game development and some discussion there. But I wanted to just say, what is a game these days? Um, the three things that I have up there on the screen are types of games that I'm sure if you've played any games at all, you're familiar with, and they are among the three most popular things out there in gaming right now. And yet, maybe 2 years ago, certainly 3 years ago, nothing of that was envisioned, and certainly not envisioned to be something that was profitable or that the public would be desiring to use. I think certainly if someone had shown up at a game publisher a few years ago and said, I'm going to do a game where all you do is slide your finger back and launch a bird through the air, and we're going to just use some physics to make puzzles, I don't think anyone would have given them a penny, let alone imagined, what a franchise that has become. All of the Facebook games were I have heard concepts like that talked about for 30 years, and generally the idea was, A, that those customers won't play games that much. B, there's no way to really monetize that type of game, but Zynga seems to have caught the lightning in a bottle and done that. And the Kinect and the Nintendo Wii with the motion stuff just took the world by storm a few years ago and has really brought in a whole lot of new segments of the market, seniors doing bowling, this was mentioned earlier, and all types of active games. But I think what you will find is that there are also other issues with this. In the what is a game question category here, I stole this text from the website cracked.com. I don't know if anyone remembers the old Cracked magazine. It was sort of the JV version of Mad Magazine. They have a website that has some really amazing humor sections that talk about everything from gaming and culture, and they're some of the most interesting things to read. And I stole this text, see if I can remember, the title of this section that I took it from was The 6 Most Ominous Trends in Video Games, which was an interesting read. They've got some really good stuff up there. But what this person is talking about is very true. The big budget games these days that do make hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, are more than a game. There are certain products. One of my favorite examples is like Star Wars Legos, the Legos franchise games. They are not a game. They are about 25 games in one, and you can play through the whole game and go back and replay it in a different way, and then they change it to a puzzle game, and then they change it to a strategy game. Part of the reason a lot of these big budget games are big budget games is they're actually creating whole works of art within these platforms. And that's something we don't normally think about. When we talk about gaming, we think about simple things like Monopoly as a game. But really, what we see out there for the commercial world of gaming has gotten to be bigger and much more than that. And the idea that you can do something like an Angry Birds game and one person can create that in their garage, well, that's what gaming was doing in 1980. And that was what was exciting about it back then, was one person could create a whole franchise, and there are people that are, in the Hall of Fame from that time period, Richard Jarriott and people like that, he did Ultima just because he was not able to find enough people to play D&D with, and he had his own ideas. He programmed it all by himself, and he sold it in baggies that he mailed to people, and it became a franchise. Well, that has kind of happened again with a lot of the mobile applications. So did everyone have a chance to read that and ignore everything I just said because you were busy reading? So here's where what I would like to talk about are some high-level issues related to game creation, the games market, and using games for other things. I mean, serious games and virtual worlds and all are why we're here. But I think we can learn some from some of the issues that the games business is grappling with these days. And hopefully we can all have a dialogue about how we can solve some of these problems, because they do hold us up. And as we try to move things out of the entertainment games business and into serious games, these are a lot of the problems that we're going to have to wrestle with. So how many people know what grinding is? It's a gaming term. A few people good. Grinding is where you have to do the same thing over and over to sort of level up. So you've got to kill 3,000 of some monster out in the virtual world and do it over and over. So what's it good for? Well, exercise is one thing. If you're running on that treadmill and it can keep you engaged, killing those 3,000 monsters, that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing. And this is one of the issues that game designers have grappled with for years and years, because we all say how horrible this is, that the gameplay for this whole hour was just me in one area killing a bunch of monsters. That's no fun. Where's the art in that game design? But oddly enough, a lot of times the game players actually like that. So there's a real balancing act here that you have to figure out. And this brings up one of those issues that's a pet peeve of mine, is too often we in serious games or government using games or anybody using games have the idea that, well, if I can get that game engine, I'll just put my stuff in there and I'll have a game that's fun, engaging, I'll use it for training, it'll be a great product. That's like saying, I go